Welcome back. We have recently attended another episode of Schumer's Journal of Laughable Stories and Democratic Witness. This time, he's using Trump's arguments against Obama's nuclear deal to oppose Trump's Iran nuclear deal, even though they are very similar. Let's be honest, in his first administration, Trump sabotaged a nuclear deal that was working well and undermined Rouhani, the moderate Iranian president, at least by Iranian standards, who signed the deal with Obama. The result, moderates in Iran were weakened and Raisi, a radical, was elected. Then Biden was elected in 2020, and among his promises, there it was the revival of Obama's nuclear deal, especially when unsupervised now that Trump has reneged on Obama's deal, Iran was in the path of enriching uranium to dangerous levels. Moreover, Pezeshkian, another moderate by the Iranian standard, had been elected after Raisi died in an airplane accident. And then Biden did nothing, either because he was weak, as he didn't want to be labeled as weak by Republicans, or because he was so committed to turning Netanyahu into Julius Caesar. The matter of the fact is that he didn't dare to speak to Pezeshkian, despite Pezeshkian repeated calls. The matter of the fact is that he did nothing. And having said that, I must welcome Trump's decision to at least admit that huge mistake Trump did in his first administration, which has implied bypassing Netanyahu, who both the Obama administration as well as at his first administration conspired all the time against the deal in the hope of using instead a military option that would have dragged the United States into a war with Iran. That, of course, unless you really believe that Iran was going to accept meekly the destruction of their nuclear program. And if the attack failed, of course, the enrichment of uranium would have been accelerated. That's unfortunately the lesson the world has learned comparing the experiences of North Korea and Libya. Libya abandoned its nuclear program, and Gaddafi ended up sodomized with a stick before being executed, while North Korea is still a big player, even if it has to feed its people with humanitarian aid provided by the West. B. Trump is adopting a similar plan to Obama's with even similar timelines. And yes, Khamenei has recently rejected the US proposal, but not the negotiations. So the idea is to not repeat the mistake we made with Rouhani and give Pezeshkian that victory that would allow moderate sectors, political sectors inside Iran to strengthen in front of Khamenei. And yes, the IAEA has recently reported a past violation of the Obama deal, but that violation consisted on not reporting previous attempts at enriching uranium, which were previous to the Obama deal, not on violations that were taking place while the deal was being enforced or even negotiated. And I would like to be surprised in the end if the participation of the Saudis implies that the final deal includes something Obama's deal didn't have, which is Iran recognizing Israel in exchange for the implementation of Olmert's plan in Gaza and the West Bank, of course, in order to form a Palestinian state in a term of, let's say, 2 years, a Palestinian state without the intervention of either Hamas or Fatah. And a deal that, of course, by doing so would make easier for Iran to disconnect the funding of groups like Hezbollah or any other of its Shia proxies in the area that now would be deprived of a narrative, since we already have a Palestinian state. Unfortunately, I am not that optimistic, but if at least we could get back to the Obama's nuclear deal, that would be an improvement. And having said that, let me leave you with our newscast.
Good evening. This is Brian Thomas Simons, and these are the main headlines of this hour. Among other news,
Pete Buttigieg started his 2028 campaign for the Democratic nomination. Pete Buttigieg started his 2028 campaign for the Democratic nomination with an Instagram video that has already reached 2 million views. In the video, the former transportation secretary wears a beard and a flannel shirt, following the advice of his pollsters and campaign advisors. Experienced professionals recruited from the successful Harris Walz campaign. In the video, 1. He wears a flannel shirt to convince the working class he is one of them. When asking about the Harvard poll that says that 80% of voters vote for policy, not for personality, the pollsters soothed him by saying that that was a typo, that actually 80% voted for personality, not the other way around. 2. The pink color of his logo tackled the issue of Buttigieg's homosexuality upfront in a way that reflected something voters struggle to confess: that they are also part of the LGBTQ+ Disney Plus community. 3. Including the last scene of Dexter will let voters connect Buttigieg with their favorite celebrities. As the campaign progresses, endorsements from Oprah and Queen Latifah will be added. In his first declarations as a candidate, and strictly repeating the talking points prepared by his campaign manager, Buttigieg said that nobody can deny that we are worse, and we all want to be better, but with Trump we are worse, so we need to get better, and the opposite of the worse is the better. Therefore, the only way to get better is a vote for Buttigieg. Buttigieg admitted he couldn't find holes in his advisors' logic and congratulated them for preparing his message, which he was convinced was a winning message. Clarifying misunderstanding. Greta Thunberg declared the symbolic aid consists not of food or medicines but of pride flags and copies of her latest book. Celebrity Greta Thunberg set sail from southern Italy with a flotilla that aims to break the Israeli naval blockade with a cargo of symbolic humanitarian aid. Followed by a fleet of ships and helicopters in her journey, Thunberg declared she feared for her life. Any time, any moment, an ambush could put an end to our activism, she declared to the media. Yet, a clarification was made after some publications wrongly reported that the symbolic aid consisted of so-needed food, water, and medicines. No, declared Thunberg. We are bringing something better, the kind of special energy that will help them persevere until we can free Palestine, if Palestine is still on fashion by then, of course. The cargo consists of pride flags sent by LGBTQ+ activists in Europe and copies of my last book. No one is too small to make a difference. Florida man falsely reports dead body at McDonald's to get ride home, and police obliges. Jermaine Williams, 46, called 911 early Friday morning. claiming there was a dead body at the McDonald's on 6th Street Northwest in Winter Haven, Florida. Officers quickly responded to the fast food restaurant, only to find Williams sitting at the curb. He had called simply because he wanted a ride home, police said. Committed to serving their community, the officers acceded to his petition and took him to the sheriff's office just to process his request before taking him to Polk County Jail, which will be his home for the time the district judge determines. Asked about the Patriot defense, the sheriff declared that it did not apply to this case since the detainee didn't even know what the Republican Party was, much less that he had to be affiliated with it for the defense to work. I didn't even have to ask him if he had some deeply held belief, the other condition for the Patriot defense, because the man is so stupid. It's just a Lord's miracle he is still alive, declared the sheriff for 10 Tampa Bay News.
This has been the news of this hour. Sponsored by Church of the Holy Redeemer's Power in the Spirit. Have you accepted Jesus Christ as your personal Savior? Did you vote for Trump in 2016 and then in 2020? This is the right church for you. If so, Church of the Holy Redeemer's Power in the Spirit is the only Christian church that can promise you in the Lord to have 72 virgins in heaven for only a donation of $50 a month. You will have access to those 72 virgins in heaven. For an additional $25, you will be allowed to replace 10 of them, and for $100, Heaven Premium, you will be allowed to choose them for yourself. Guaranteed, if you're not satisfied with those 72 virgins after you die, full refund of your money. We accept Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover.